This video series is dedicated to explaining how to design in a logical way from start to finish. If you're either a developer or a beginning designer that struggled with traditional design education, this series is for you. In this episode, we'll be turning our low-fidelity wireframes into high-fidelity mockups. To start off, let's go over adding in colors. There are a few ways to go about this. When you're first starting out, you may not have enough practice to determine what colors go well together. What I like to do is look up some popular UIs around the type of app that I'm making on Dribble. I'll then use these as inspiration to determine how I'll go about inventing my color scheme. If you're looking to use some soft gradients in your app, I would recommend checking out the website webgradients.com. There, they have a bunch of popular soft gradients that you can choose from and you can try in your app. However, since I'll be using more flat colors in my example, I'll be using colordrop.io. Here, they have a bunch of different options to choose from for complementing color palettes. Using this website as a guide, here's a color palette I chose that includes some bright tones as well as some dark tones to use for the text and some other elements in the UI. Starting out with the low fidelity sign-in screen we created in episode 2, I created some additional shapes in the sign-up header and then applied the bright tone colors from my palette to the header. I also rounded out the buttons and applied my darkest shade to the text. For the sign-up, I also rounded out the buttons and inputs, as well as applied a much lighter tone to my darkest color to a few of the elements. I then established my blue tone as my main primary color and used them for the buttons to continue the sign-up steps. For the chat screens, I brought the button more in line with Snapchat branding and decided to go with my accent orange color to make the start button stand out. When deciding fonts, there's a couple resources you can use. One resource to help you find a good open source free font is fontspark.app. Here you can shuffle through randomly a bunch of different font choices from Google Fonts to help you figure out what you like the most. Another good resource is colorsandfonts.com under the font pairing section. If you have trouble finding good font pairs, this website can help you with pre-chosen font pairs from Google Fonts, and I'll actually be using Poppins and Lato. Now that I've chosen my font pair, I'll begin applying it to my app. Here you can see what a before and after looks like for the sign up screen. I applied Poppins Bold for my headers and then Lato for my body copy. The reason for this is because Poppins is a geometric sans serif, so it makes it more difficult to read at smaller sizes. However, Lato has retained some certain qualities from serif fonts, such as loop in the lowercase g's, for example, that help it make it more legible at smaller sizes. I then also applied the same styling rules with the sign-up screens. Anything that was a clickable action item, I used Poppins, and then anything else that included body copy or editable type, I used Lato. For many people, adding the icons, illustrations, and photos seems like a daunting task, especially if you don't have the illustration experience. However, there are resources that can help you out. Undraw.co has amazing high-quality SVG illustrations that you can use in your project. The best part is that they're free for commercial use, and you can even use it without having to cite it inside of your project. You can also customize the primary color to be anything that you want for your brand. Another great resource for icons is boxicons.com. Here you can find a bunch of high-quality open-source SVG icons that you can use in your project. If you need to find icons of different social media sites or other brands, worldvectorlogo.com has hundreds of logos from popular businesses across the world. Finally, if you need to add any photography or pictures of people to your designs, unsplash.com has a bunch of free for commercial use, high quality photos to add to your project. Starting out with my signup page, I use logos from worldvectorlogo.com to add to my buttons. I then typed out my logo at the very top of the page using the Poppins font with extra letter spacing. For the sign up process, I wanted to add a little bit more personality to each step, so I found an illustration that represented each step using undraw.co. Since I imported these in as SVG files, it was really easy to customize the colors to match my brand's color palette. To mock up what the homepage and chat sections would look like, I found some images on unsplash.com of up-close portraits of people to make it look like that they're using the app. In order to mock up the blur effect around their faces, I duplicated the images on top of the ellipse shape and then moved the ellipse shape over the face and then masked it. I had applied a strong background filter to the photo that was underneath of the mask group. I then applied a radial transparency gradient to the mask shape in order to give the blur effect a soft transition into the background. If you've been following along for the last 3 episodes, we've gone from coming up with an idea to laying out our app and now completed adding the design polish to it. Now that you have a polished concept, you can begin testing it with the type of people that would enjoy using your app. You can always follow the same design process we've gone through so that you can get closer to your final product. I hope you enjoyed this series on design for developers. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe and hit the bell for more videos like these to come.